everyone. It's been a few weeks since the last podcast dropped. For a little update, I always attempt to and plan to drop an episode weekly, but unfortunately, with my journalist deadlines and travels, it's not always possible, especially me being a one-woman show. So, season 2 is looking to be a bit more scattered, but that does not mean that I have a shortage of fantastic guests for the next few weeks. This week, I have the wonderful Loren Castle, who is the founder of Sweet Loren's, a gluten-free and vegan cookie dough company. And Loren, if you're listening, I did try the oatmeal cranberry flavor, and it was totally delicious. Loren and I had a pretty inspiring conversation, spanning from why she started the company to where it is headed. And it's most definitely worth the listen. So please join me in welcoming the lovely Loren.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Thank you so much for coming on. I see the sign in the background, and it's so great to meet you because I've literally been devouring your cookies the past few weeks, and that's not a lie. It's very true.
That makes me so happy.
They sent me a little bit too many.
I know, like our variety pack is like, I hope you have a big household, because, but you can always give them to friends or they last a long time in the fridge. So you don't have to eat them all immediately. But yeah, I mean, we want you to try them all.
Right.
Or at least a good selection.
Well, you sent them to someone who has no self-control and loves food, so and lives by herself. So it's a whirlwind.
It's double trouble. It's funny. It's like, that's what my husband says. He's like, I don't have self-control. And I just like, I don't know. Maybe I think I've eaten more cookie dough than like anyone on the planet. And so maybe I think that's why, like I have so much in my house, but like, I don't need to eat a ton of it. I try all of our flavors. I have 1 or 2 cookies whenever I want, but like, it's funny how just people are different. We made the packaging portion controllable. Like we tried to make it for people like me and you so that, you could just grab 1 or 2 or 3 at a time versus being like, oh my God, there's 12 cookies. I need to eat them all, because that way, like you can just bake as many as you want, even in your like toaster oven or air fryer. And then you don't have like 24 cookies, sitting out on your counter.
Okay. Very true. But the user error in that for me is that I think that eating just the cookie dough doesn't actually equate to the same as a regular cookie that you're eating.
It's just like air. It's like crumbs. It doesn't add up. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like, it's not really calories. It doesn't really count. It's probably just like 2 calories and then that's it. So then it's like you eat 4 of those, but technically you ate 4 cookies and that will always be
And how did you feel? You feel good?
Good.
Yeah, like that's the whole thing. It's like using real ingredients. I mean, you might be full, but like you won't feel gross. And
Right.
like that you put really processed ingredients in your body, which is the way that most like candy and treats and baked goods are made, with just like very refined flours, cheap oils, artificial colors and dyes and things like that. So when your body does try to break it down, they're like, I don't know what this is. There's no nutrients here. You get that sugar high, sugar crash. So we try to make sure you have the most delicious experience, but you're also, having whole grains, like you're eating less processed ingredients so that you're like, it's still a cookie, but there is actually some protein. There is some fiber. Like it can be a snack. It's not a completely empty dessert. And I think a lot of people say that they feel better after eating it.
Yeah, no, that's a great point. I was on I had some health issues a few years back, so I went gluten and dairy free. And as a person who has a sweet tooth, that was like really, really difficult for me because it's just such a lifestyle change, and it really just alters because I'm also a foodie and a food journalist. So it like really was a hard lifestyle change for me. And now I'm mostly gluten-free just at home. And then if I go out, I'm able to indulge in gluten induced products, I guess. But I'm always looking for something that doesn't have those oils because I'm just so aware of the ingredients now because I had to pay so much attention. And I think a lot more people are, honestly.
Yeah, no, I think you're right. I think what's interesting is I feel like until it's personal, you kind of feel invincible. So, a lot of people who maybe haven't experienced any major health issue,
Mhm.
or no one in their family has a health issue, they're just kind of like, food is food, whatever. Sometimes I feel good after I eat, sometimes I don't. Like, they don't
Right.
really pay attention. But the second it becomes personal, like you or someone, your good friend or your family, someone you love and care about, it deals with some sort of health issue where food becomes part of it, all of a sudden you're like, wait a minute, we're not invincible. And like, oh my God, what is in most food? And then you start to realize how hard it is to find food that doesn't have something like most food has gluten. Most baked goods have
Yeah,
gluten,
it does.
most baked goods have dairy. It's hard. It's really hard to find not just options that don't have those, but options that taste really great. And then not just taste really great, actually have really good quality ingredients, because you can be dairy free and gluten free, but be full of like a ton of corn syrup or excess sugar or artificial colors and
Absolutely.
flavors or a lot of filler. So at Sweet Loren's, like, we're really trying to do all of it, like make the taste unbelievable, make sure the ingredients are super simple and use as few ingredients as possible, and then have them be all natural. And then, oh, by the way, it's also dairy free, gluten free, plant based, nut free, and free of the top 14 allergens, really. And so
Mhm.
it's hard. It's hard to do that at scale too, because then you're relying on suppliers for like chocolate chips and
Right.
inclusions and things like that. And it's like, well, is like the mass market industry caught up to us yet? Like, or, are these like, is allergen free still considered niche, So
Mhm.
we're like right at that cusp, really, I feel, trying to help allergen free options become as delicious and mass and accessible as possible.
That's a good point. What I think is so interesting is that people, and this is a very general statement when I say people, but can sometimes equate gluten free to healthier just right off the bat. And I'm like, okay, no, but if I'm having 10 gluten free Oreos, it's not healthier. It's just gluten free. It's not less calories. If you compare the calories or the saturated fats or whatever, it's still going to be the same amount. So being gluten free, you just have to be aware that it's not exactly going to make you lose weight in the sense if you're like not changing your diet.
Totally. I mean, it's the same, like even dairy free. It's like, oh, okay, like I'm healthier because I'm having dairy free milk. Well, I don't know. It
Mhm.
depends what you're looking for in your milk, because, you can all of a sudden switch to, let's say, like almond milk or oat milk. And then it's like, but does it have like the calcium you're looking for, or the protein? Or so
Right.
it's like, yeah, you really got to pay attention and figure out what you want from your food, and what me honestly, just I think it's like a level of consciousness that happens when you become sensitive and you like start to pay attention. Like, you, once you start to read labels and start to like
Yeah.
feel better staying away from something like gluten or dairy, it is so hard to go back.
Yeah, you can't stop.
You can't stop. I mean, I
No.
say I like, I did this to my, I started paying attention to ingredients, 15 years ago, more than that now. And it's like, I feel like sometimes I can't have as much fun as my friends just eating whatever I want, just because my body has gotten sensitive. Like, I don't put crap in it. So like, and I can't really drink the way I used to too. Like, I just
No,
don't,
me either.
I don't enjoy it. Like, my body's just like, I don't need that. Thank you. And so, but I feel great, So like, maybe I'm not able to like have as much fun as my friends, but I honestly, I feel better than ever. And I will take that over anything, and I'm having all the fun I need to have, but you just don't feel invincible anymore.
Yeah, no, fun is such an individual experience, and how you define it is also such an individual experience. Especially when I was growing up, and when you go to college, it's like alcohol is the thing. And then when you're in your 20s, it's like you drink socially and it's the thing, and you're going out and doing all these things. And I, when I had my health issues, I kind of took a big step back from alcohol. Not that I was drinking insane amounts, but I mean, I was in college. I was like doing my thing. And I just realized how much it just affects you and how much I just don't need it or like it really anymore unless I'm just having a glass of wine like here and there, which I can do. But it just affected my body in terms of bloating and just swollenness in my face. And just this is my personal experience, but it's just interesting how much foods affect you, even like dairy and cheese. It's like I love cheese and I can literally see the visible effects when I cut out refined sugar within a week. And I could just see
Yeah,
it in my physical appearance. It's just crazy the way
that is
that
crazy. No,
affects
I
you.
know. Yeah, it's the same thing. Like I don't really, I personally don't have food allergies.
Hmm.
I stay away from most dairy, but I love cheese, for instance. And so, but I
Me
can
too.
only have certain hard cheeses and once in a while, not too much. Like, otherwise, I don't feel good. Like, it's just not worth it. And my digestion gets all messed up. And it's like, my body's just clearly telling me, like, it doesn't like it. So, but, I've made Sweet Loren's not just dairy free, but, gluten free, as I said, and free the top 14 allergens because my husband, for instance, he's gluten free. My daughter, like, has like randomly when she was 2 years old, we found out she was allergic to shellfish. And so it's like
Wow.
all of a sudden you just start to see like how annoying it is if someone in your
Mhm.
household or someone that you eat with often has a certain lifestyle or food allergy. It's like it wouldn't just be easier that we could eat the same cookie or the same bread, the
Right.
same food, and just know it's safe for everyone. So why not try to make a product that totally stands for amazing taste but is really free of like the top 14 things that could have that affect millions of millions of people. But we're focused in really North America right now. And
Hmm.
so, and that's so revolutionary to like packaged food, especially like mass packaged food, like in
Yeah.
the cookie dough category where we are, like the two big players, there's nothing wellness inclusive about their brands. It's just about, this kind of legacy brand that's like, oh, we've, made cookie dough forever. But as you were saying earlier, I think more and more people are realizing food so affects their health and wellness. And to me, it affects my mental health as well. Like if I eat clean, mentally, I am so sharp. I feel great. I think more positively. So like
Hmm.
physically and mentally, people I think are starting to feel better. And then if they're realizing they have food allergies or someone in their family does, or if they're just trying to be more plant-based, I say food allergies lightly in the sense of like you can have extreme food allergies or you can just feel
Right.
better, staying away from something. And so there's a lot of specialty products or like small natural stores you can maybe find things. But what we're trying to do is like really go head to head. And so you can find Sweet Loren's cookie dough and our other products in every major supermarket so that
Hmm.
it really makes it easy for someone like you, no matter where you live, to be able to like have a lifestyle where like you don't have to compromise. You can have delicious
Right.
tasting cookies, but you actually have something that makes you feel good and makes you feel like you're treating yourself well. And I think we're in the middle of this like shift. There's like a new generation that's just like, nope, those old brands don't speak to me. But
Right.
I don't want to give up cookies.
Yeah, I totally agree. It's also the best feeling too when you're making something or baking something that's gluten free and no one notices. And then they're like, it's gluten free. And they're like, really? It is? They're like shocked by the fact that it's gluten free. And then I feel like I won something. I'm like, it is gluten free.
No, for sure. We like try not to tell people at the beginning that it's gluten free or vegan because then people that aren't are
They're like,
like,
ew.
like, no, thank you. I don't need that because they just assume it's going to taste like cardboard. And then they try it and they're like, oh my God, this is amazing. I need another one, and I feel good afterwards because I'm not eating as like heavy or inflammatory ingredients. Yeah. So that we feel the same way all the time. Like we're like, just try it and you'll be sold.
It's so funny too, because there were a few times where I would pick up bread and something and it didn't taste good. But you just have to find the ones that do. They're ruining it for the rest of us.
For sure. I think like the original gluten-free vegan products that were out on the market were
Yeah, they're
so mediocre /
Mhm.
terrible that like they just created a bad name for everyone else. But there's
Yeah.
definitely a lot of better products obviously now than 10 years ago. But it's still hard. And it's very hard to make this stuff from scratch. Like when you were gluten-free vegan, I'm sure you tried to like bake at
Oh
home
yeah.
and it's like it's expensive
It's
it's
so expensive.
it's so expensive. Like,
That was the biggest thing I noticed.
yeah, like white flour is really cheap, and then you try to like sub it out with a gluten-free flour, and it's more expensive, and it's not always a one for one. It's not like 1 cup of white flour,
No.
is going to be a one for one for like, so then you have to like do all this trial and error. And then it's like you have to really love baking and be that committed to like do that. Otherwise, what are your options? And
Right.
so again, that's really part of why we came up with Sweet Loren's was like, who doesn't love warm cookies? A warm cookie out of the oven or cookie dough is the best thing in the world. But even if it's expensive, it takes a lot of time and energy. You have to clean up your whole kitchen, and we're all busy. Like no one has time for that, and
No.
it's also dangerous because even if you do pull off a good recipe and you make a whole batch, 24 cookies or whatever from scratch, they're kind of only good for a day or two. You know what I mean?
That
Like,
is really true.
so then you're stuck, unless you're going to a party or something, you're stuck
Mhm.
with like way too many cookies, and then like you eat too many, and then it's like this vicious cycle where you don't feel good about it. And like, that's what I hate. Like what I want to do with Sweet Loren's is like make your favorite foods part of a healthy, balanced lifestyle so that,
Right.
hopefully with our place and bake packaging, you can it helps you have enough portion control. You can keep it in your house and have a couple at a time or whatever during the week so that you don't like eat like 12 cookies at a time and then be like, oh, I don't want cookies again until Christmas. I think saying to someone that you can never have a cookie again, like, what kind of life is that?
Not when I want to
Like
live.
miserable, when you love food, and you have a sweet tooth, it's like those are the happiest moments of your day. Like those are like, that's the excitement, that's the joy. So you don't have to take that away from people, but just how do you make it in a healthier way?
Great. I like that mindset. I'd love to go back to kind of more of your background and go through that a bit. What did food look like for you when you were growing up? Were you a sweets household, cooking household? What was the deal?
So, you're in New York City?
I'm in LA.
Oh, you're in LA. Okay. Okay.
Mhm.
Well, do you know Livvin Bakery?
Yeah, I do.
Okay.
I'm from the East Coast.
Okay, perfect. You
Yeah.
feel East Coast, but there is now
Mhm.
Levan out here, and but it started in New York. So I'm born and bred New York City, like Upper West Side, and my family was a family of foodies. Like
I
healthy,
love.
fresh dinner was always important, and both my parents were entrepreneurs. Both my parents were very busy, but like we always had like a yummy meal. We always had a salad with dinner, but we also had a huge sweet tooth. Like our whole family
Mhm.
loves chocolate. And Levan was our
Too. My whole family, my parents passed down my sweet tooth for sure.
For sure. Like, yeah, I was
Mhm.
born with this, and
Mhm.
my siblings as well. And it's like we would choose chocolate over candy, sweet over salty. Like that's the kind
Oh
of
yeah.
family we are. But my parents were picky, and I think that they then passed it on to us in terms of like it's not worth it unless it's like really gourmet, higher quality. And so, and
Fair.
Levan was my neighborhood bakery. Like I grew up around the
Oh,
corner from there.
so good.
And then when I went to college, I actually started working there. And
Oh,
so,
okay.
and I was there. It was always a popular bakery, but I was there the years that like it blew up. Like there was just a line around the corner, wrapping around blocks for their warm cookies. And they
Mhm.
made amazing other food like breads and muffins and brioches, but that's not what people were lining up for. People were
Right.
lining up for warm cookies. And I think that's where I kind of just really fell in love with like the magic that bakeries have and the magic of warm cookies. And so yeah, so I grew up with like a lot of those moments where it was like, oh, I found the most delicious thing. I can't wait to bring it home. Or hey, this
Mhm.
new bakery opened up, downtown, and my dad would take us, and so
Oh,
it's definitely something. On the weekends, my mom would like almost always go out and get brunch for us. And as teenagers, like we'd wake up, and I have a brother and a sister, and we'd have this like amazing brunch at home because I think during the week my parents were so busy that it was
mhm.
like food was a way we celebrated. It was a way we came together, and it was a way we like nourished ourselves. Like because my family was just very into working out as well, and just really having like a healthy lifestyle.
Okay, yeah, I remember when Livvin opened here, the line was literally down the block. I didn't go for a few weeks.
Yeah,
I had to
until it
avoid
died down. Yeah.
yeah. You mentioned your parents are entrepreneurs and you started this company early on in your 20s. Was being a business owner something that was already in your mind because of your parents, and did that influence it?
Yeah, it's interesting because like my brother and my sister aren't entrepreneurs, in the same way.
Mhm.
So is it nature, nurture? It's like, it's interesting to see. But I definitely, even when I was a little girl, like when I was 10 years old, I would ask my mom, like, she'd be like, what do you want for your birthday? And I'd be like, something to organize my pencils and paper. So like for whatever reason, from a young age, like I liked order. I liked being in charge.
What's
I
your
like,
star sign?
I'm an Aries.
I was gonna say, are you a Virgo? Because my organization is off the charts.
I'm fire. I'm passionate. I'm Aries. I'm a go-getter. And
Same.
it's so like it was, I guess I had early signs of it. And then I went to college. I went to USC in LA. I left New York, went to
Oh,
school
fun.
in California, which was fun. And I like fell in love. I was always attracted to like come out here because I love the healthier lifestyle out here. I love the nature. I love the sunshine.
Me too.
And then it's a crazy story, but right after I graduated, I was 22.
Mhm.
I got sick. I was diagnosed with Hodgkin's lymphoma. I woke up one morning, the lymph nodes in my neck were really swollen. Went to a doctor,
Mhm.
and so I had to start chemo immediately, and it totally changed my life. And I just was so set on like figuring out how to get through it. Like I was like, this isn't how my life was supposed to go. Like this isn't, I'm in the wrong movie. Like I just need to like put blinders on, stay focused, stay positive, and know that I did everything I could to not just get through this, but like thrive on the other side. And so, because I just was so scared the first couple months that like, would I even make it? Like, am I even going to
Yeah.
survive this? Even
Mhm.
if I do survive this, am I going to have like such PTSD for the rest of my life that I'm going to feel broken or like so
Mhm.
scarred that like life won't be as amazing as it was before or could be. And I went down I started to go down this like kind of negative, dark path. And we all go through hard things at different times in our life. And
Mhm.
I saw what it would be like if I kept going down that negative path, and I just like reeled myself back and was like, nope, that's not me. I'm a positive person. I'm a happy person. I love life. And I want to know that I did everything I could to get through this. So I'm going to get through this. My mind's made up. I'm
Mhm.
going to thrive. And so how do I do that? And, I asked my doctor what else I should be doing besides the treatment. And he really didn't have much to say. And, he kind of was just a classically trained, oncologist. And
Yep.
it just didn't sit right with me though. Like I knew that like if I ate shitty foods, I felt shitty. I knew that like there was a way to superpower myself with more natural, nutrients.
He didn't say food should be a factor.
No, he really was like, just keep doing what you normally do.
Huh.
He was just kind of like, keep doing what you normally do. Whatever you're doing now is great. You look healthy. You're taking care of yourself.
Okay.
I don't think he wanted me maybe to go through like some extreme changes or anything or a drastic
Right.
diet.
Okay.
So during my days that I didn't have treatment, I started to study nutrition and I started to take cooking classes. The more I
Hmm.
learned about nutrition, of just like, again, like you're not taught these things in school. So
Nope.
like I had to teach them myself, like oils, you just think oil is oil. No,
Palm oil,
like
vegetable
what are the types of oil out there,
oil.
that aren't good for you? What are hydrogenated oils, really refined processed oils that have no nutrients really, like just starting to stay away from really cheap oils. And then flour, like again, in my head, white flour was everything. Maybe there's whole wheat flour. All of a sudden I start to learn about like oat flour and sorghum flour and even like almond flour and even brown rice flour and all these flours that just were amazing, but like not in conventional baking, and
Right.
And then just looking at like the ingredients on chocolate chips, you think all chocolate's the same. It's not. You look on a lot of chocolate
No.
chips and it's like there's dextrose, there's a lot of soy lecithin, there can be milk powders, there's dairy, all these filler, sometimes there's not even real chocolate in your chocolate. So
No.
I just was like, like how do I clean this up? I just want the highest quality semi-sweet dark chocolate, that's no dairy, that has no soy in it, no, like the smallest ingredient list. Let me explore all these amazing flours and make sure they taste amazing, but are better for you and naturally have whole grains and more fiber and things like that. So anyway, became a good cook, but I have a huge sweet tooth, as we all know. I loved working at like Livvin and like seeing these recipes. I mean, seeing these other bakeries, but I stopped eating like, a lot refined flours and like a lot of dairy and stuff. It made me feel heavy and not great and like a sugar crash. So I was like, okay, I have a sweet tooth. How do I solve it for myself? And so I started to make my own cookie recipes with just that mindset. Like, how do I use as real, as unprocessed ingredients as possible? And then I'm going to feel great because there is some nutrients in this cookie at the end of the day. And after hundreds and hundreds of recipes, started to fall in love with it, and like people couldn't get enough. And that's when I was like, there really is, there's a need here for better for you baked goods, but taste has to be number one.
Right. Right. It does. I have a few points on that, especially when you're that young at 22. It's like you're not expecting to go through anything health wise ever, because you're told, oh, you're so healthy, you're young, like nothing ever is ever going to happen. Like you even go to the doctors, especially women who go to the doctor and like they're telling them their symptoms, you're like, yeah, they're young, you're healthy, you're fine, you're fine. And then when it does happen to you, it's like, how did this happen to me? And it's so easy to just fall into that negative headspace. And it sounds like you had a certain turning point that was like, this headspace is either going to eat me alive or it's going to basically bring something productive out of it and be more of a teaching moment.
Yeah.
I think it shows a lot of strength for sure. That's not an easy thing to do.
No, and that's exactly what happened. Like I've always been a pretty happy, a happy go get it person. And for the first like 2 months of chemo treatment, first of all, I felt terrible. I had no more energy. I just was like sitting on the couch watching like daytime TV for the first time ever in my life. That just never my life. Like, I was always active and out and about, and I also had been a certified yoga instructor. So like, I had felt so strong and healthy and powerful and really invincible. 22, I was like, oh my God, the whole world is now at my fingertips. I just graduated college. Like, what do I get to do with my life? And then I felt like, oh my God, like, it's really scary when all of a sudden you're like, wait a minute, your life could potentially be over. And like in 6 months or a year or whatever it is. And you start to really quick do a lot of soul searching. And, I saw what it was like to be on a couch, kind of lazy and like lifeless and depressed. It was so terrible feeling. And I think like, I naturally was a happy person before, but I started to realize like, oh my God, like mindset is everything. Like I have to find a way to get back to like old Loren. And I started to see a therapist because mental health was just like so important in this. And the therapist really helped me. Like she really helped me, first of all, just be able to talk and not feel alone and crazy. But she said to me one day, like, don't you see how this could actually become your strength? How all of a sudden you'll have like a certain empathy and like deep understanding and appreciation for life and maybe a passion for life beyond what you ever could have before. And she really showed me like it's mindset, and I can either, and I saw this, it was a fork in the road. Like I can keep being depressed and be like, I'm the victim. Why me? This is so unfair. Or I can find a way to be like, I'm going to heal myself slowly. I'm going to take care of myself. I'm going to protect myself, and I'm going to figure out eventually how to make this into my biggest strength.
It's so easy, and I've done this too, to fall into that victim mentality, because you can just blame everything else. And I'm not saying like there are unfair things in the world. Like there are things that can be blamed, but when it comes to health, it's like, who are you supposed to blame? It's like, I'm the victim. Why did this happen to me? Like, and those are just questions that you're just never going to get the answer to. So it's really, really hard. And it's hard for society too, to just understand things like that. So that's why therapy is just so important and helped me so much too, because they can point out the obvious. I was falling down this hole like a few weeks ago, and I was talking to my therapist about it too. And she was like, why are you acting like this? Like, you literally just basically, I normally do to-do lists. Like, I'm normally really organized. And then I just like stopped doing all those things. And she was like, why did you stop doing all of those things? Like, what was the problem? Like, why are you basically wallowing?
Yeah.
And I was like, I don't know, really.
Yeah.
And I was like, just get back to yourself, like get back to your routine. There's no reason for you to wallow, and that kind of changes it. So I think it's just having a third party objective as well that really, really just can turn a corner. That was very long-winded, but
No, I hear you. I mean, I think like I've had an amazing life, but like I've had like crazy things happen to me, too. Like I lost my mom the same year to cancer. Actually, the same year I launched Sweet Loren's, and like that was so devastating. Thank you. But it's like at the end of the day, like how bad do you want to feel, good about your life and happy? And it's like if you want it bad enough, then like you'll figure out how to drive yourself forward and do that soul searching, figure out what you want in life, like what makes you happy, and build your own life, because nothing is promised. I mean, some of the most amazing people in the world, have gotten cancer or passed away too early, whatever it is. And it's like, I think I just realized like life is really kind of unpredictable and nothing is promised. And I'm going to live like I could live to 125, but just in case, I want to know that like I don't have regrets, that like I lived my life fully, happily, and didn't wonder what if.
That's the worst feeling. I would consider myself a risk taker at this point, because I did have like a turning point in my life where, I did lose someone, and then I was like, oh shit. It could literally happen at any time to anything. And then that's when I totally changed my mindset, and I was like, I'm going to move to LA. I'm going to do what I want to do. I'm going to travel. I'm going to eat. I'm going to do whatever. And I was just like, I think my family's kind of taking that turning point too. And I wonder too, do you feel like the obstacles that you faced have aided you in the way that you look at your business and life today? How has that heavy toll on your body? It was a heavy toll both physically and mentally. Like, how is going through something like that changing your outlook now?
Totally. It was, I mean, I didn't feel myself for, I got diagnosed when I was 22, and, by 23, I was cured of it, but I still needed checkups, and like I felt like my metabolism got kind of, slowed down, and I definitely didn't feel the most confident myself. I didn't lose all my hair, but I'd lost some of it. So like I had to regrow, and, like I was sensitive. I was so sensitive for at least 5 years after that. Like after the 5-year mark is kind of when you get like the clear that like, you're good. Even though nothing is ever like guaranteed for life. Right. But they're like, after 5 years, you have like such a high chance of like this not coming back. You're clear. And I think it really took that long for me to like, just like my cells to rebuild, and like mentally to feel strong. And also like I started Sweet Loren's, and when I started Sweet Loren's, it had legs of its own from the very beginning. Like Whole Foods was my first customer. I started getting emails and messages.
That's a great first customer, by the way. Whole Foods
is
huge.
It was. Thank you. It was an amazing first customer. And even though it was only like a couple Whole Foods, it was emotionally so validating for me. that, and then I got into like all Publix supermarkets and Kroger supermarkets, and like it was so validating. And I started getting emails from people around the country that were like, "You've changed my life. I'm so obsessed with Sweet Loren's. It's like made our whole family happy." From like athletes to kids with food allergies to just like families that are like, we just want something better. We want a better option. And it just made me feel like I had a purpose. And this food industry is not easy. Like,
No.
it is so hard to break
The
in.
bureaucracy of it is wild.
It is wild. And I didn't know any of this. I didn't know anyone in food. I started the company without a partner. I just lost my mother. But I think what it did do was like going through cancer and losing my mom were the hardest things in the world. And I just felt like everything else felt easy. Even though nothing was truly easy about starting Sweet Loren's, I had this like endurance and patience to be like, okay, you need, I have to wait a whole nother year, to get into that one supermarket. No problem. I can do that. That's easy, and I think I saw that I really was turning this thing that was so scary and negative into my life into this thing that was making people so happy and was really filling a need in the marketplace. And when I told the story, I would hear how inspired some people were by it. And I realized like, this is doing what I want, which is turning this into like a positive and into my biggest strength. I do think that, realizing how, I don't know, getting sick, realized how strong I could be. Made me realize how amazing the body is, like mentally and physically, and how it can heal itself, how strong it can be mentally to overcome, how sensitive it can be, how like all these things. And it made me go from feeling really weak at one point in my life when I was sick to feeling like so incredibly strong. And I think that, all those things combined helped me start the business. Now I've been running Sweet Loren's for over 10 years. A lot of other people I think might fry out, might give up, but I feel so lucky that it's growing and it's a healthy business and it continues to make new products and make more people happy because it's my passion. Like it's my purpose in life at this point, to like, I feel like I've become an expert in natural ingredients and knowing how to make them taste good. And I'm so disgusted with most of what's in the food industry that like, it's like my purpose to find a way to make more food delicious, clean ingredient, allergen free so that everyone can enjoy it. And it really makes a difference in food and making food accessible to any type of family in every major city versus just something like specialty in LA and New York.
Yeah, I know. We always are focusing on LA and New York. I think it's so interesting how when we get a bird's eye view of something 1 or 2 years later, how much different your perspective is on it versus when you're actually in the thick of it. Even something stupid as like a fight with a friend. When you think of it like 2 years later, and I was like, that was so stupid. Like, why did we even, It's just so interesting to me how our thoughts just alter and our maturity changes our perspective and things and how that affects our decisions going forward.
Totally. Too. And when it's happening, you think it's the end of the world or it's the biggest thing ever. And then, you let time pass and you realize, oh my God, you're already on to the next thing. There's a million other decisions, but I do think it is. It's time and perspective that helps you see that.
I totally agree. I read that early on when you were kind of creating the brand that you met a few people that were not exactly supportive, maybe saying like, oh, it was cute that you had a cookie dough company. How did that affect either positively or negatively your motivation going forward? Was it kind of fueling your fire or was it something you just kind of were like, screw that, I'm just ignoring that?
I really made an effort at the very beginning to make sure that anything negative fueled me, because when you're starting something and not many people really understood what I was doing at the very beginning, but like I got really clear on it. Like I I went to nutrition school. I took cooking classes. I spent hours in the kitchen. I've made thousands of types of cookie recipes, trying every type of oil, sugar, flour, possible. And that time, that 10,000 hours, like gives you a certain confidence and expertise. And so and when I started to sample the recipes, on hundreds and hundreds of people and see their reactions, it gave me a real confidence that like people love this. It's not just me alone in my room. I know how to do it because I've spent so much time studying these ingredients and playing with them. And then started to study the food industry to see like, where's there a need in the market? And I was making a product for myself, right? Like I was that customer. Like I was like, I love food. I can't make everything from scratch every day. I want to go into a supermarket and feel like there are so many options of all my favorite foods that make me feel great, that are so delicious tasting, and that like I can share it with all my friends and family. Like that really, so like that's always been my like, I am my own customer, so always just trying to be like, I'm not giving up because I still want more food out there that, that makes me happy. And so I think that at the very beginning, like I would have people look at my business card and they'd be like, oh, you're a CEO, CEO of what? This is, like this little brand. And in my head, like, what was I going to do if I got mad at them and acted like out, what good is that going to do? It just was my personality. I just was like, I just would smile and be like, just watch us, because I knew in my heart, in my goals of like what I wanted to do, that like what this could be. And I just was like, I cannot wait to show you. And I just used anything negative as fire, to fuel it. Anything, everything. Because it helped me. It helped me figure out what I want. Like if you hear something like that, either you're the kind of person that's like, you're right. Maybe I shouldn't write CEO. Maybe I'm just like, I don't know, the owner of this little company or something.
Yeah,
But
the self-doubt.
that didn't feel right to me. Like I was like, no, like this is a small brand now, but it's not going to be for long. And it's making a difference in the food industry. And I'm going to dream big, even if it's, small now. So like, I'll, let you be rude and like kind of ignore you and just use it as fuel, And there were so many people that were like, you can't use these really expensive ingredients in cookie dough. Like no one will pay for it. No one will buy it. Like the industry is set for like really, much cheaper ingredients and much cheaper price point. And I was like, no, people don't want to eat that anymore, and it's expensive to buy higher quality ingredients. And our product, saves people time and money because it's done for them already, So I think just having like, no one can have that deep conviction except the entrepreneur. And I think I did. And because I always have listened to the customer too, like anything new we're coming out with, or I just always tested on enough people that like when I saw they loved it and that there was a real need, even if I got some negative comment from someone else, I was so in touch with our customers. I was like, no, I'm not going to listen to you. I know that there are people out there that appreciate what we're doing and that need what we're doing.
And two, the fact that they're saying that people wouldn't buy it is completely BS, because people buy a lot of things that are wild and you don't think people are going to buy.
It's true. But until you have the data, like people, like, when I was making the recipes gluten-free and dairy-free and vegan, and there's a lot of people that said to me, that are very smart people, that they were like, Loren, I'm not gluten-free or I'm not dairy-free. Like, so I'm probably not going to buy it anymore. Like, don't change the recipe to be allergen-free. And, but my response to them, because these were early days when I didn't have the money to like have access to data and, really be able to show them like, well, this is the research I've put together. So let me tell you exactly what's going to happen when we launch this product. It was more a gut feeling. Like I just had gotten hundreds of messages from families across the country that were like, my kid has a nut allergy. Can you create a nut-free line? My daughter is dairy-free, gluten-free. Can you create, a gluten-free, dairy-free line? I just realized like there's so many people that have certain dietary restrictions or lifestyles. And like, I can't create a special SKU for everyone. How about I just try to create something that feels as universal as possible, that everyone can enjoy it? And that was my gut. That was my gut and like hundreds of messages. And so once we launched, gluten-free, allergen-free, line, and it became our number one SKU, then you couldn't deny it, because when you have the data, it's like, no, this is actually, people do pay for this. People do love this. This is needed. And by the way, it's really powerful now, because although maybe it once seemed niche, it's actually very powerful in supermarkets because it's incremental to the category. Like all of a sudden we're growing the category. Like all of a sudden people like you that would never buy conventional cookie dough are now buying cookie dough. Right. Because there's something that speaks to them, that makes their lifestyle possible, that makes better for you possible. So it's powerful, because like where some categories are declining or flat, Sweet Loren's is helping cookie dough grow.
Yeah, and you said the buzzword earlier. You said food accessibility. A lot of people just don't feel represented, and then even if they don't have a health thing and just want to feel better, it's like where are you going to go? What are you going to do if you're not represented in that way, and you feel like lost?
Well, and honestly, like being in New York and LA, like I've been around really super high quality, but like expensive bakeries or products that are like, it's $5 for a cookie,
Please, it's like $20 for a smoothie here.
Exactly. It's like $16 for a smoothie. It's like, it's $20 for like a baking mix. It's like, this is crazy to me. And sure, some people in LA can buy those things, can afford those things because it, for them, it makes sense. They can afford it. They appreciate the ingredients, but it's just not realistic for like most families out there. And so you don't really change the industry if you're just staying this like very high end specialty bakery or, expensive product that most people can't afford, or they can afford it, but they choose not to because they just feel like it's too expensive. They could get a lot of other things for that $20. And so that's always been my goal with Sweet Loren's, is like, yes, I want it to be in Whole Foods and be the number one cookie dough in Whole Foods and have it be, the cream of the crop. But at the same time, I want it to be in Target, right. and, so every type of family has the accessibility to it. And that, we're not the cheapest thing on the shelf, but we try to make the price point as low as we can with the quality ingredients we use.
So what's next for your company? Because I did see that there were some biscuits that recently came out. For audiences, that's like kind of a cookie more, not like a bread biscuit.
Exactly. So we, after being 10 years in cookie dough, we finally, and we've expanded in cookie dough, right? Like we have chocolate chunk, we have fudgy brownie, we have oat milk cranberry, sugar cookie. We launched.
I like the fudgy brownie. It's approved.
If you love chocolate, me too. I'm a chocolate person. So like that is my favorite. It's so rich. The cocoa powder we use is so amazing. Like that's not normal cocoa powder. And we launched a less sugar line. So if you're looking for lower sugar options of cookie dough, we have chocolate chunk version of that. And then we have seasonal flavors of like pumpkin spice and gingerbread and, chocolate mint. So like, anyway, we have an amazing, exciting cookie dough program. But then really we started to study like where else could we grow into, because customers ask us for everything. And what's the best for us and what makes the most sense and where can we win? So of course you can imagine, because we've always been refrigerated cookie dough, the idea of moving into something baked, shelf stable in the cookie aisle is so exciting, because like that means that you can have something in your purse, you can grab and go, you can get it, we could offer this in airports and things like that. Like all of a sudden it just opens up the accessibility even more. And so we created a breakfast biscuit, which is a cookie, but it's kind of a European biscuit in the sense that like it can be dipped in your coffee or tea. It's 19 grams whole grains. It's a good source of fiber. It has 4 grams of protein, and it's just made of whole grains and like rolled oats. And so we have a cinnamon sugar flavor, a chocolate, and a blueberry, and they're so delicious. You buy the box, and then in the box you get 5 little packs of the breakfast biscuits. And so in each pack you have 3 biscuits, and they're crunchy, thin biscuits that just taste delicious. And because they're 4 grams of protein and a good source of fiber, and also have 5 different B vitamins in there, it really is something that like you could eat for breakfast or have as a snack in between meals, or if you like to dip in your coffee or tea, it's a great biscuit for that. So super exciting. We launched that in all Whole Foods in the cookie aisle in October, and now it's starting to grow in like Stop and Shop
Oh,
on the East
great.
Coast, Wegmans soon, many other supermarkets, and then online on Amazon. So we finally have a product that like you can prime to your house, and have and it's great for kids, it's great for adults. So really excited about breakfast biscuits because it's like a whole nother category for us to break into.
Yeah, Amazon will be a big market for you guys, for
It's
sure.
amazing. We just launched a couple months ago and we're already growing so much month after month, and I think
Mhm.
people want convenience. People are used to buying things on Amazon, so we're excited to like you can get like a 3-pack of our cinnamon sugar breakfast biscuits and you'll be set. So good.
I love it. All right, so I have a short game for you if you're up
Okay.
for it. We talked pretty deeply, so now I'm going to do a little bit lighter convo here. So I'm going to pin two cookies against each other, and you're going to pick your favorite. I'm
Okay,
sorry.
these are like my babies, but I'll try to do this.
I know, it's so hard. Okay, first, chocolate chip versus sugar cookie.
Chocolate chip.
Yeah, agreed. Second, fudgy brownie versus salted caramel chocolate.
That is truly a hard one because I'm so proud of our salted caramel. I will say fudgy brownie is the OG delicious.
I have to go with that one too. Third, oatmeal cranberry versus you don't have snickerdoodles, right?
No, we you can make snickerdoodles with our sugar cookie dough by just
Oh,
putting it in some cinnamon sugar.
okay. Yeah, so oatmeal cranberry versus snickerdoodles.
Oatmeal cranberry is one of the most underrated, amazing flavors.
I love oatmeal cookies. I didn't like them when I was younger, but I think I'm matured now, so I
Did you
actually
try them? Did we send you oatmeal cranberry?
I do have them. I haven't tried those ones yet.
You're gonna freak out. I do want to hear what you think about it because it's a
Okay.
special cookie. Yeah.
Ooh, okay. I'll definitely let you know on that. The fourth one, chocolate mint versus gingerbread.
That's a hard one too because I really do love our gingerbread, but that's a hard one. Can I tie?
Yeah, I'll give
Then
you
I'll tie.
special permission to
That
tie.
one's a tie because I really do love them both.
I know. I am probably would choose chocolate mint, but I haven't tried either of them, so I don't feel like my opinion is valid yet.
No, I'm normally a chocolate person, so normally I would pick the chocolate mint, but like, and I'm normally not a gingerbread person, but we're using like just these fresh spices, and it's not too overpowering. And it's just like very comforting and delicious. And because it's seasonal, it's like you don't get sick of those because they're only on shelf for a couple months. So you look forward to it.
Oh, so good. All right, my last one. This is not one of your flavors. This is just general. Peanut butter versus shortbread cookies.
Peanut butter.
I used to, okay, something that's really exciting for me is I used to get really nauseous from peanut butter because
Yeah.
I think my sisters would just eat it like so often that it made me ill. But now I actually can eat it with celery, and I'm really excited about that.
No, it's a good, nut butters are a good healthy snack.
They are.
Um, I know our products are nut free, so we're not going to be able to do a peanut butter
No.
flavor, but people do request it. And it's like what I used to do is put like a dollop of peanut butter on the fudgy brownie cookie dough. And that way
Oh,
it was like
yeah.
peanut butter chocolate.
Okay, that's smart. So there's so
Yeah.
many ways you can upgrade or elevate it if you wanted.
Oh my God, you totally make it your own. Put flaky sea
Yeah.
salt on top. Add your favorite flavors. Like my husband used to like take our sugar cookie and put jam in the middle of it. So it became like
Oh,
a jam thumbprint. I
yeah,
mean,
yeah, yeah.
our website actually has a ton of recipes. So if you
I
want
was looking.
inspiration, it's like you can do anything with dough.
I was looking last night. This is something I'm really on the fence about. I had olive oil on ice cream, and it was more of a gelato. I know that's a trend, and I was at like a chef's house, so I was like, I have to try it. Like she knows what she's doing. They put a little sea salt on it. I can't get behind it. I
No,
don't. The extra, it's just like extra fat to
Yeah,
me
yeah.
that doesn't need to be there, and it doesn't enhance it
Yeah.
in any way. I don't get it.
I hear you. It makes it like more savory and like silky, but I'm similar. Like I don't need that. Like I would rather chocolate, you
Yeah,
know,
give me Hershey's
dark
syrup. Well,
chocolate.
actually, better syrup than Hershey's syrup.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
like, give me some chocolate or fudge or something. I don't need like olive oil that I cook with to like fry food in and stuff. Like,
No,
I
I
don't
hear
know.
you. I hear you. But like really good olive oil, like something you'd like put on like a salad dressing and be like, wow, this is amazing and fresh and
Yeah,
bright tasting. Like I get it. I'm
true.
sure it was a special olive oil, but I'm similar to you. Like I've gotten frozen yogurt at places and they sometimes can do olive oil on it. And I'm like, no, no, no. Can I have honey on it instead? You know, because I'm always
Yeah,
going to go for more sweet than savory.
yeah. Okay, honey's always good. Or caramel.
Honey
Caramel's
on like a non-sweetened, like a tart ice cream is so good because it's like kind of gets
mm,
like, you know, it gets hard on the ice cream. It's so good.
I almost feel like I haven't had that. I don't
Well,
know
they
why.
don't really make ice creams tart as much as I wish that they
Yeah.
did, but like frozen yogurt, if you get like a tart frozen yogurt,
Mm.
do you ever go in LA? Do you ever go to it's the best yogurt place?
I have
I'll
a
get the
yogurt
name.
land near me, but it's not nice.
No, no, no. I'm gonna get you the name. It's like authentic Greek yogurt that they bring in and make frozen yogurt out of it. Do you know what I'm
Oh,
saying? It's called Go Greek.
yes. You know what? I think I saw they followed me on Instagram, I think, and then I was like, "Oh, who's that?"
They have one
That's
in
funny.
Beverly Hills. They have one in Santa Monica.
Mhm.
Anyway, if you ever get a chance, you can get
Okay.
tart there, and it's real frozen yogurt. It tastes so creamy and great. And then I always get honey on it with like some chocolate chips and walnut, and it's chef's kiss.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's on my list. I just got the Belly app. Is that what Belly, whatever, where you go rate restaurants, and I'll have to rate that one. But I have an entire list going
Do
of,
it, or maybe they can deliver to you. You know, I mean, you
ooh,
can.
I won't say no to convenience.
Yeah.
All right, my final question for you is something I ask every guest. If there is one baking appliance or utensil that you think everyone should splurge on, what would it be and why?
A really good baking sheet. Like
Mm,
I basically have a bunch of them, but you know, it's because I bake for a
sure.
living, but you know, like a half sheet pan or a full sheet pan depends like how big your household is, but like a really great quality baking sheet that like you can put you can make cookies on, you can roast vegetables on, you can cook a chicken on. It's like just it's so versatile and a really good quality. You could use it 100 times and it won't, you know, it won't go bad. You know, it's so really good
Mhm.
quality matters. Otherwise, you end up replacing your pan
Right.
every like year or two.
Yeah, I think my family's baking sheet has been through the ringer, honestly. It's been around since I can recall. So,
I like have some of my grandmothers like baking stuff because
uh-huh.
they were such good quality. You know, they've lasted.
Right. Yeah, no, that's so true. I know. Sometimes I'm like, I buy the cheap stuff and it's not even worth it because I'm just gonna have to replace it anyways. So,
It's not. It's like you don't need a lot of stuff. Just like get a couple of really good quality stuff.
all right, noted. We'll do that. Okay, well, thank you so, so much for taking the time out. And this was an amazing conversation. I appreciate you opening up and chatting with me and taking the time on your Friday before the weekend.
I loved it. Thank you for having me.
So you can keep up with Loren's latest adventures on Instagram at Loren Brill or follow Sweet Loren's at Sweet Loren's.
Hey, fellow foodies, thanks so much for listening, and don't forget to leave me a review. While you're at it, make sure to follow me at Livvin for Food Pod on Instagram or TikTok, or email me at livinforfoodpod@gmail.com. Let me know what you're cooking up this week, which guests you would like to see on the podcast, or tell me your opinions on the latest viral food trend. And in case you're just joining me, there is an entirety of Season 1 ready and waiting for you. Until next time.